Today we're going to talk about an introduction to the general theories and concepts of business ethics to give you an overall view of what could be expected for you to learn in this course and some of the theories and practices. Let me start by looking at this quotation from John Rockefeller. He said, "I will pay more for the ability to deal with people than any other ability under the sun." Now, this is an important quotation for all of us to reflect upon because he's saying, I will pay more for the ability to deal with people. Now, do you think he's going to pay more to people who are considered to be unethical or have made bad decisions, unethical decisions, or even illegal decisions? Obviously not. He's saying that when we're dealing with people, we need to obviously do that from an ethical point of view by having high ethical standards in exercising care in good interpersonal relations. So without being ethical, we're not going to be considered individuals who have the ability to deal with people in ethical, moral, and legal manner. So human beings can distinguish between right and wrong, therefore we are said to have that ability, but machines do not. Machines have to be programmed by obviously you and I, or human programmers. So today I'm going to talk from my point of view, the textbook entitled Managerial Skills and Practices for Global Leadership. The study of ethics and social responsibility is very important for all global managers and employees because by understanding ethics and morality and social responsibility, you can be better prepared to gain a sustainable competitive advantage while also avoiding unethical and illegal activities that oftentimes we hear and see in newspapers. An ethical climate is crucial for nurturing innovation, entrepreneurship, and even getting foreign investment in today's global and competitive business environment. The creation of an ethical climate requires comprehensive and anti-corruption policies and procedures for any government, for any business leader, for any organization or corporation. One consideration for many firms and investors in selecting various locations in global is the presence and perception of an ethical climate. Professor Siddiqui mentioned that although corruption is not a new phenomenon, lately has become a matter of growing concern all over the world. So all managers, all business leaders, all government sector officials are concerned about corruption, especially when they are considering where to do business. Ethical decision-making, socially responsible behaviors are becoming more important today than ever before. It's always been important, but we discuss it a little bit more. An ethical decision is a decision that is both legally and morally acceptable to the larger community. Unethical behavior influences negatively on both national as well as regional economies. Factors influencing ethical decision-making could include culture, the institutional environment, societal values, including religiosity, social desirability bias, risk attitude, individual value system, and perhaps many other factors as well. So what are some of the common ethical theories that you should become aware of as you do more research and go through this class? Ethical theories are moral, philosophical undertakings that contain bodies of formal, systematic, and ethical principles that are committed to the view that an asserted ethical theory can determine how one should morally think and even act in a given situation or societal environment. Moral judgments are deducible from a hierarchy of ethical principles. Morality, therefore, properly and accurately should be understood as a development of the ethical, which is part of our philosophical development or views. There are some differences between values, ethics, and morals, and you should sort of keep that in mind so you don't use the words interchangeably. Values are core or self-chosen beliefs or desires that guide or motivate our attitude and actions. So what you value drives your behavior. Some people value honesty or truthfulness in all situations, while others value loyalty to colleagues. Now remember that you can be truthful and honest. However, sometimes we say loyalty is more important. So if our friend does something wrong, we need to tell the truth, but we want to be loyal to our friend. So do we tell the truth and get him or her into trouble? This is an ethical dilemma that oftentimes we face when it comes to loyalty versus truth. Here's a dilemma to think about. Loyalty versus truth. Your friend threw a rock in school window and vandalized the school building. Then he tells you about it. Now you're aware of the situation. The school principal asks you, who did this? What do you do? Well, you have an ethical dilemma that you need to resolve. Is it going to be loyalty or truth? You have to choose between a right and possibly another right decision based on your opinion on loyalty or social upbringing. So 2 right decisions to you personally: loyalty to your friend or truth based on facts. Throughout your life, you've been always taught to be loyal to your friends, your teammates, family members, and your country. So you either have to tell the truth or be loyal. You have to choose between the two. It's a tough personal choice, yet you'll have to make a choice that you can live with and believe in. Which is going to be? Some people value life in all of its forms, while others limit it to some extent. For example, when it comes to valuing life, some people say, I value human life. However, when a mosquito comes near them, they basically get rid of it very quickly. So, do you value life in all of its forms, or just human life, animal life? What about insect life? What about plant life? So again, considerations, obviously, with regards to values. And the good thing about values is that they are self-chosen. So we can easily choose what we value and then obviously inculcate that into our subconscious minds. So our behavior seems to be aligned with that. Ethics is a branch of philosophy which determines right from wrong, good from bad, moral from immoral, and just from unjust actions, conducts, and behaviors. Simply stated, ethics is basically doing what you say you would do or walking your talk during a given situation. So if you say you would do something, you should do it when you're faced with that dilemma. Morals are different from values in ethics. So morals are judgments, standards, and rules of conduct in society. Morals guide people toward permissible behavior with regards to the basic values. So ethics is doing what you say you would do or walking the talk based on a clearly defined moral standard. Business ethic deals with the creation and application of moral standards in the business environment, or in the context of a transaction between you and one or more stakeholders. There are 2 commonly known categories of ethical theories: a teleological view and deontological view. There are many subcategories under both of these areas. So in terms of teleology, it's a moral philosophy that judges the outcome of each decision based on its utility to the greatest number of people. So utilitarianism is a perspective which considers the greatest benefit to the largest population. It is the consequentialism view, which examines the net benefit produced for those involved as stakeholders. The consequentialist view considers the rightness or wrongness of an action in terms of its overall consequence or utility to the greatest number of people. The deontological view focuses on the interior motivation of human behavior and states that an action should be considered ethical not because of its results, but because it is the right thing to do. So deontology is basically the non-consequentialism view, which examines the actions in terms of rights and intentions. It evaluates the means of how things are done and why they are done regardless of the consequences. So if your intention is good, you mean well, then obviously it would be ethical, even though it might impact the most number of people in a negative way. The golden rule also falls under the deontological view of ethics. It basically says that treat people as you would like them to treat you. Do unto your neighbors as you have them do unto you. So this philosophy has been mentioned in most cultures and societies in one form or another. The concept of ethical relativism is a moral philosophy which states that moral beliefs and principles do vary based on the current variables, cultures, and societies where we live. According to ethical relativism view, there are no universal principles because situations vary from place to place and also from time to time. What is ethical today may not necessarily be considered ethical next year or the year after, depending on the circumstances. So there's also cultural relativism, which states that no culture's ethics are superior compared to another. The values and practice of the local setting determine what is right or wrong. So in this case, when in Rome, do as the Romans. You've heard that statement perhaps many times. There's the concept of ethical imperialism, which states that certain absolute truths apply everywhere. So universal values transcend cultures in determining what is right or wrong. So you've heard the statement that don't do anything you wouldn't do at home. So it doesn't matter where we are. For example, in regards to stealing, stealing is wrong. Even if everybody's doing it, it's still considered wrong. So if you're not going to steal at home, don't steal in the workplace. In summary, there are two criteria of ethical strategy. A strategy might be ethical if it does not entail actions and behaviors that cross the line from should do to should not do. And two, if it allows management to fulfill its ethical duties to all stakeholders. We can also get professional assistance such as ethics officers and ombudsmen to help us stay fair, just, and effective leaders in our organizations and in our communities. Remember that ethical behavior is a skill. You need to evaluate and improve your ethical muscles in fitness every single day. Good luck.